Ready to unlock some secrets?
Ooh, secrets are my favorite.
Well, today we're diving deep into Hermetic magic.
Nice.
Yeah, and specifically, we'll be looking at Franz Barden's initiation into Hermetics. It's sort of like a guidebook, for spiritual development and training to become a magician.
Oh, I like Barton.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't just ramble on about random theories, like there's an actual structure there, a step-by-step way to like build up those magical skills.
Oh, interesting. So, like, you start with the basics and then work your way up to the more advanced stuff.
Exactly. Like from, just getting your mind in order to then eventually doing things like astral projection, even communicating with, spiritual beings and things like that.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's not just about waving a wand, all that then.
Not exactly. Like Barton really focuses on this idea of self-transformation, right? As like the foundation for doing any of the magical work. So like the very first step, he says, is to take a good hard look at yourself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And really figuring out like what your flaws are, those weaknesses we ought to have.
Okay, that sounds a little intense. I feel like most people would rather not go there. You know?
Right. But the thing is, Barton says that's like the most important part. Because those weaknesses, they tie directly to the four elements. Fire, water, air, earth.
Right.
And those are like the building blocks of all magical energy, right? So you have to get those in order.
So, like, how exactly do our flaws connect to the elements?
So Barton gives us this really interesting way to think about it. Let's say, for instance, you're dealing with a lot of jealousy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's like fire energy that's gone out of balance. Or, if you're struggling with being lazy, well, that could be a sign that your water energy is stagnant, right? Not moving how it should.
Okay.
Or maybe you're kind of down in the dumps, really melancholic or too serious. That might be that heavy, earthy energy kind of weighing you down.
So it's like a personality test based on the elements.
Yeah, kind of like that, right?
Okay.
So the idea is if we can figure out which element is, most prominent in us or which one's out of whack, then we can start to deal with those flaws and use that energy for magical purposes.
Oh, okay. So we sort of harness those elements.
Exactly, exactly. In fact, Barton even talks about this thing called the four-pole magnet that's inside each of us. It's like the way those elements interact within our bodies, it creates electromagnetic energy.
Okay.
And that's what fuels magic, right?
Wow.
So you can like imagine this energy flowing through you, connecting you to like the whole universe.
That's a pretty powerful image. So how do we actually like tap into this four-pole magnet then?
Well, there are a bunch of different techniques, but it all starts with like mastering your mind and body, right? Barton, he has this one technique he calls conscious pore breathing.
Conscious pore breathing. What is that?
So basically, it's a way to absorb vital energy, but not just through your lungs, right? Through every single pore in your body.
Wow.
Yeah. You like visualize this golden light, prana, flowing into each pore and just filling you with energy.
So it's like a supercharge for your system.
Pretty much. But it's not just about, boosting your energy levels. It's more about learning to control that energy, like becoming this conduit for it.
I imagine that takes a lot of focus.
Oh, definitely. Mental discipline is super important. Barton, he walks you through all these steps for getting into this super relaxed and still state. And that's crucial for any magical work you want to do. Like, think of it as training your mind to become this laser beam,
Right.
just focused and precise.
Kind of like meditation, but with a magical spin on it.
That's a great way to put it. And then Barton takes it a step further with this idea of autosuggestion.
Autosuggestion, is that like affirmations or something?
Yeah, it's similar, but like with this deeper hermetic understanding behind it. You're tapping into the power of your subconscious to achieve your goals, to overcome any negative habits, even to influence the world around you.
Wow. So if I'm understanding this right, we're laying the groundwork here, learning to control our thoughts, our energy, even reprogramming our subconscious. And all of this is like setting us up to work with the elements themselves.
Exactly. Like once you've got those basics down, Barton takes you into the realm of elemental magic, where you actually start working with the forces of fire, water, air, and earth.
Okay, now we're talking. This is what I sign up for. But hold on a second. Before we go summoning fireballs and all that,
Right?
how do we actually start working with the elements?
So Barton gives us a bunch of different techniques. Some are really simple. Others are more like ritualistic. One of the first things he talks about is working with water.
Water. So like making potions and stuff?
Well, kinda. He teaches you how to make these things called fluid condensers.
Okay, now we're getting into Harry Potter territory.
Right.
So what are fluid condensers? How do you make them?
It's a really cool mix of herbalism and energy work. Barton gives you specific recipes, using different herbs, flowers, and minerals, each with their own special energetic qualities. For example, he recommends chamomile flowers to enhance clairaudience. Being able to hear like subtle sounds and messages.
Oh, interesting.
Oh,
So it's like you're not just drinking the water, you're like programming it with your intention.
exactly. You're giving it a specific purpose.
Okay.
He even has a recipe for what he calls a universal condenser that's made with a blend of different herbs. And that's supposed to boost your overall magical abilities.
This is amazing. So we're not just like manipulating the elements in a big dramatic way. It's
Right.
also these small, everyday things.
Absolutely. Like Barton gives an example of using water to cleanse away negative energy. Like even something as simple as taking a shower.
Mm-hmm.
You can visualize the water washing away any negativity, stress, anything holding you back.
Wow, I love that. And it makes you look at like those everyday activities in a totally different way.
Totally. And that's just the start of what Barton teaches us about elemental magic. He goes on to explain how to work with fire, air, and earth, each with their own unique properties and uses.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued. But before we dive too deep into all that, there's something else I got to ask about. Astral travel. Where you separate your astral body from your physical body. Is that even possible?
Oh, that's a big one, right? And it's definitely one of the more advanced things Barton covers. But he says that with enough practice and the right preparation, it's totally doable.
So we're talking about actually leaving our body and going to other realms. This is getting wild.
Haha, yeah, it definitely pushes the boundaries of what we normally think is possible. But remember, with Barton, it's all about self-development first, right? He wouldn't just throw you into the deep end without the proper groundwork.
Right, right. So where would someone even begin with something like astral projection?
Okay, so Barton outlines this whole process, and it starts with understanding what he calls the depth point. It's like this technique for shifting your consciousness into the very nucleus of an object.
Wait, the nucleus, like the very core of it?
Exactly. He starts with simple objects, and he guides you through this process of focusing so intently that you start to perceive the object from its center, outward.
So like shrinking yourself down and seeing it from the inside out.
Perfect analogy. And as you do that, as your consciousness contracts, the object appears to expand. Like it becomes this whole universe in itself.
Whoa, okay, my mind is a little bit blown right now, but what's the point of this depth point thing? Why do we need to see things from their nucleus?
So according to Barton, it allows you to see the object's true nature. Not just physically, but energetically too. You can see its structure, its energy, even its potential.
Okay, I think I see where this is going. So, if we can perceive the object's energy, then can we like influence it somehow?
You got it. That's where the magic comes in. Barton says you can actually influence things from their depth point. It's like tapping into its energetic blueprint and shaping it with your intention.
Okay, so if we can do that with objects, can we do it with living things too? Like with people?
That's a great question. And that's exactly where we'll pick up in our next segment. We'll dive deeper into the depth point and how it connects to astral projection.
Oh, I can't wait. This is so fascinating. We've covered so much already.
I know, right?
Self-knowledge, elemental magic, this whole mind-bending depth point concept. I'm excited to see where we go next.
Me too. It's going to be a wild ride.
So last time we were really getting into this idea of the depth point, right?
Yeah, it's powerful stuff.
Focusing your consciousness on the nucleus of an object.
Opens up all sorts of possibilities.
Yeah, and we kind of ended on this question.
Mm-hmm.
Can we use the depth point on living beings?
We can, but Barton is super careful about this. He's like, be careful, be ethical about it. It's not about like, manipulating people for your own personal gain or anything like that.
Right, right.
It's more about like understanding people on a deeper level. Like imagine being able to sense someone's core essence,
Wow.
their deepest fears, their aspirations.
That would totally change how we relate to each other.
Exactly. It's not even limited to humans. Barton says you could use the depth point to connect with like animals, plants, even entire ecosystems. It's about recognizing like the interconnectedness of everything.
Right, like everything's vibrating with energy even if we can't see it.
Exactly. And the depth point helps you develop that subtle perception, that inner vision to see beyond the surface.
Right. So, okay, we were talking about astral projection before,
Hmm?
and you mentioned that the depth point was important for that too.
It's crucial. So basically, Barton says the ultimate application of the depth point is to turn it inward. Like instead of focusing on an external object, you focus on yourself. You visualize yourself as a tiny point within your body.
Oh, interesting. So like we're going deeper inward instead of outward.
Exactly. And you usually focus on like the solar plexus area. As you hold that focus, your perception of your body, it expands
Okay.
until it feels like this vast universe. It's like stepping outside of yourself
Wow.
while still being grounded within.
I can see how that would lead to a sense of separation from the body.
Yeah, it's like transcending your normal perception.
Right.
And that's basically the start of astral projection. But, Barden emphasizes this is a gradual process.
Right.
Requires lots of practice, mental discipline. You don't just like float out of your body and start flying around.
Haha. Okay, so let's say we've practiced the depth point, shifted our consciousness, and we're starting to experience that separation. What happens next? How do we actually navigate the astral realm?
Well, that's where the magic mirror comes in.
Oh, the magic mirror. I was wondering when we'd get to that. Barton talks a lot about creating and using one. Is it like those crystal balls you see fortune tellers use?
Not quite. Crystal balls can be used for divination, but Barton's magic mirror serves a different purpose. It's like a tool to focus your intention and amplify your astral abilities.
Okay, so you actually make this mirror yourself. What's it made of?
Barton gives specific instructions. It involves melting the blend of 7 metals:
Wow.
lead, tin, iron, gold, copper, brass, and silver. You also use aloe resin, animal charcoal, and mineral coal.
That sounds intense, like some serious alchemy going on there. So once you have the mirror, how do you use it for actual projection?
Okay, so first you have to load the mirror with your akasha, that universal energy. Then you sit in front of it and visualize yourself like shrinking and passing through the mirror's surface into the astral realm.
So the mirror acts as a portal.
That's the idea. But, it's not like the mirror itself is magical. It's more like a tool, a focal point, a way to amplify your ability to project your consciousness.
So it helps you bypass the limitations of your senses.
Exactly. And once you're in the astral realm, Burden describes all these amazing things you could do. You can explore the different elemental realms.
Oh, wow.
The kingdoms of gnomes, nymphs, fairies, salamanders.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying there are actually beings living in these realms?
That's what Burden suggests. But he says, being able to perceive these beings requires, developed magical senses. You have to be able to see and interact with subtle energies. Most people aren't even aware of them.
So it's not just about seeing the future, it's about experiencing a whole other reality.
That's the power of Hermetic magic. It's about expanding your awareness beyond the limits of the physical world.
Wow.
Exploring the interconnectedness of everything, and ultimately connecting with the source of creation itself.
This is incredible. Okay, one more question about the mirror. Barden talks about using it for communication, not just with spirits, but with living people, too. Is that like magical telepathy or something?
You could say that. He describes a process of, projecting your thoughts and messages into the mirror,
Okay.
imbuing them with your akasha, and directing them to a specific person. It's like a Hermetic text message.
Wow. But how does the other person receive the message? Do they need a magic mirror, too?
Not necessarily. Barden says the message can be received on a mental or emotional level. It depends on how sensitive the person is. They might experience it as a sudden thought, a feeling, or even a dream.
So it's a very subtle form of influence.
Yeah.
But Barden still emphasizes ethical use, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's not about manipulating people.
Right.
Hermetic magic is about aligning with universal laws, not bending them to your will. It's about understanding the interconnectedness of everything and using that knowledge responsibly.
This has been amazing. We've explored the depth point technique, the magic mirror. We've even touched on communicating with otherworldly beings. What else is in store for us as we explore Hermetic magic?
Well, in our final segment, we'll delve into the ultimate goal of this tradition, achieving union with the divine. Get ready for a transformative experience.
All right, so we're back, and we've really gone deep into Hermetic magic.
Yeah, we have.
Mastering the mind and body, astral projection, that magic mirror.
Lots to unpack there.
For sure. And now we're going to talk about, the ultimate goal.
Mm-hmm.
Reaching union with the divine.
That's right. That's the big one.
Yeah, it feels like this is where it's all been leading, all those techniques and practices.
It is. It all builds up to this profound connection with the source of creation.
Exactly. And, Barden talks about those 4 divine qualities: omnipotence, omniscience, immortality, and omnipresence.
Yeah, those are some pretty heavy concepts.
They are. How do we even wrap our heads around that?
Well, the thing is, Barden's not saying you have to become a god, literally.
Right.
It's more about integrating those divine aspects into your being.
Oh, okay. So it's like we're not trying to be something we're not, but we're trying to realize our own potential.
Exactly. But that requires a lot of work.
I bet.
Spiritual and ethical development. Remember how Barden always talks about aligning with universal law?
Mm-hmm.
Cultivating a mobile character. Acting for the highest good.
Right, right. It's like all the steps we talked about before, the self-knowledge, mastering your mind and body, working with the elements, astral projection. They're all preparation for this union with the divine.
It's all connected. Each practice builds on the last one, refining your awareness and your ability to connect. And it's not about personal gain or power over others.
Right.
It's about transcending the ego and connecting with something much bigger than yourself.
It sounds like a complete surrender, a merging of the individual with the universal.
Beautifully put. And Barton says that this union isn't a one-time thing. It's an ongoing process.
You keep deepening that connection, expanding your awareness. So it's not like flipping a switch and suddenly you're enlightened.
Exactly. It's a gradual unfolding. And the potential is there within every single one of us.
Wow. That's a really powerful thought. So as we kind of step back from all this, back into our everyday lives, how can we keep that sense of magic alive?
Well, I think the main thing is to remember that magic isn't separate from us. It's about realizing the power we have within,
Right.
aligning with the forces of the universe, reaching our full potential.
So like being aware of the magic that's already there
Exactly.
in us and in the world around us, even in those everyday
I
moments.
love that.
Well, this has been an amazing journey.
It has.
I mean, exploring all these depths of Hermetic magic, from the practical stuff to the really spiritual aspects. What a system.
And remember, we only scratched the surface here. There's so much more to discover in Barton's work. It's a lifetime